What is up, guys? This is Cody on the Real Sports Talk, bringing you the pre-race video for the race at Darlington Saturday night. And very exciting race in the Nationwide Series race on Friday night. Joey Logano ends up taking the win after getting in Elliott Sadler and wrecking him on a restart with just a few laps to go. And Sadler went from having the points lead to dropping way back after that wreck. And he ended up being 23 points behind Stenhouse, who finished 6th at the end of the race. So that's how the point standings stand for the Nationwide Series. That's 2 in a row for Logano, and he's looking good in that series. Very dominant. He's driving. It seems like he's driving a lot more aggressively this year, like he means business, and that's good for him. He didn't really want to help out his teammate, it seemed like, Denny Hamlin in that race, and he was more willing to help out Brad Keselowski and Elliott Sadler throughout the race. He was more loyal to them, it seemed, than his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate in the Nationwide Series and on the Cup side in Denny Hamlin, who had the dominant car all night. And there was some good racing off of restarts, and especially near the end of the race, there was some good racing. And it really seemed like, though, on the long green flag runs, that people were complacent just racing in where they were and just kind of riding, because it's so hard to pass at Darlington, and that's an issue that really rises at this racetrack. Is a lot of the times people are just going to ride, and then they are almost caught off guard, and then they end up slapping the wall because the difficulty that this track presents, known as the Lady in Black. And a lot of the time, a lot of people forget to race the track, and when they get to racing, then they end up racing their competitors, and they don't race the racetrack, as they say, and that's when you get that Darlington stripe going on. Some other notables in that race: Sam Hornish Jr. finished 4th in the race, Austin Dillon finished 5th, Danica Patrick finishes 12th, putting in a solid performance there, and Travis Pastrana coming from 2 laps down to finish 17th. So that was a solid performance from him. Eric McClure from last weekend's Talladega race is out of the hospital after he had suffered a concussion and internal bruising in the accident in that race on the green and white checkered restart. And he wants to get back to racing, and this week Jeff Green drove his car. I think he finished like 19th, but hope to see Eric McClure back in the race car and back to what he loves doing. As for the Cup Series on Saturday night at Darlington, I expect to see a lot of the same stuff. Maybe some guys just being content with where they are in the middle of the race because of the difficulty that there is passing on this racetrack, and probably see a lot of cautions toward the end of the race when the intensity starts picking up, and possibly one or more green-white checkered finishes. And Greg Biffle showed a lot of speed. I think he was 2nd in both practices, so he's going to be a guy to probably look out for moving toward the start of this race. It's just a matter of if he can keep up with the track and how the track transitions through the night, and that goes the same for all drivers. And also keeping your tires. That was an issue in the Nationwide Series race, the tire wear. You got to keep that, and you got to keep that under control and really be in charge of that, or else it's just going to eat you up, and your tires are not going to treat you well at the end of the race, and possibly you'll end up blowing out a tire. So Greg Biffle starts on the pole, and Jimmie Johnson shares the front row with him on the outside pole. And some notables from qualifying: Kevin Harvick, he ends up starting 23rd, Dale Jr. ends up 24th, and Clint Bowyer 26th. Those are guys that you might look out to come forward from the back and gain a lot of positions early, or we might see a dud of a day from those guys. And we got to see how aggressive they want to be early, or else they can be a possible cause of one of the early cautions by racing too hard early and getting into someone. So you got to look out for that. And the 2 guys I say to really look out for in this race are Jimmie Johnson and Denny Hamlin to come out with the victory. Still chasing that 200th win for Rick Hendrick. Jimmie Johnson, I think, could get it this week. He's the guy I'm picking to win this race. But a dark horse pick that I think some people aren't really looking for at all this week is Paul Menard. He ran very well in both practices. He's a guy that kind of walks around quietly, and he goes about his business quietly, but he's right on the edge there of breaking into the chase this year. So if he can get a win, that's a possibility for him, and I'd expect to maybe see him running in the top 10, top 5 toward the end of the race, and seeing him perform well. So we got that race tomorrow night. We'll see how many people get Darlington stripes, and it should be fun to watch at Darlington.